And like they make them for everything, so there's always cool ones to get.
Exactly, guys. Welcome to the Superherocuts podcast. We are talking about Funko Pops because hold on, let me show you a couple. So I got this one. This is the Henry Cavill Superman. I got this one.
Oh, that's fire.
And then I already sent you the red Green Lantern one already, but and then Emily got me this one.
Ooh,
the Civil War.
Shit is sick.
The Civil War one.
Yeah.
And then she also got
black
me
and silver is so hard.
She got me the Mando John too.
Oh, that shit's sick.
Yeah, bro. So it's been a fun addiction. Something that's because like I mean, obviously I love comic books, but I wanted something that could like I don't know, that could like collect in mass and show
and make it like decorate your house.
Exactly. I'll send you a pic, bro, after the show. It's pretty dope.
Damn,
but
bro.
Welcome to the Superherocuts. Let's get it. And then I got here's the last one. 2099.
Oh man.
And this freaking glows in the dark, bro.
That's sick.
And then my favorite one is the freaking Cyclops from X-Men. This is my favorite one though. The Cyclops.
That is so sick.
But I am hyped to cop that Wolverine though, because they made the MCU Wolverine one so detailed, bro. It's insane.
That's awesome.
But welcome to the show, okay? Welcome, man. We're so happy that you guys are here today. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, yesterday was one of the biggest days in superhero history, man. Deadpool and Wolverine. Last time I looked, I think the video was at 22 million views. You know, some say the MCU is dead. Tell me where. So that it's pretty exciting with that. But before we get started, I want to talk about something because we are going to talk about the X-Men because it was funny, bro, because the X-Men video yesterday, right, was at 4 views. 4. I woke up, bro, and it was at 400.
No way.
No lie.
No,
so
I gotta see that right now.
I'm listening. For sure. So if you go on the on the channel, I did a video. It's called X-Men 97 is going into the live action MCU. It was literally at 4 views, and then I woke up today and it was at 400.
It's at 549 right now.
Oh my god! So it's like that just shows that you guys want to talk X-Men. So, and I'll tell Comic Cuts everything that was talked about. So we have that in our docket. So we will. I'll actually put that after we talk about Tom Holland, Spider-Man. Okay.
Bet.
So let's get to Deadpool and Wolverine. I already went crazy about how I felt. How do you feel about the Deadpool and Wolverine?
Love it, man.
Trailer.
This trailer just like, I love it so much. I can't wait for this movie. So many things were teased that made me so excited for it. There's 2 things in particular that just 3 actually that just made me lose my mind. Number 1, and this is in reverse order, by the way. Number 1 is the Doctor Strange portal. Obviously, now I'm expecting Doctor Strange to be in the movie. Number 2 is the Ant-Man helmet, which I saw someone say that is Cassandra Nova's Cerebro. I don't know if that's accurate or not. That's a pretty bold claim. And anyway, number 3 is crazy. But if you saw on the vintage car, if you look at the emblem on the vintage car, it's an Iron Man helmet. And
it's not Red Skulls?
Bro, it's not Red Skull. It's Iron Man. I'm looking at it literally right now.
Oh, yeah. You sent me a picture, right?
I don't know if I did, but I'll send it right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's by the way, it's specifically the Iron Man 2 helmet, where it's like the face mask part is silver, and then the rest of the helmet is red. It is not Red Skull, but it does look like the Red Skull vehicle from Captain America: The First Avenger. So I can see why, if you didn't zoom in on that, you would think that that's what it was, but it's not. It's Iron Man's mask from Iron Man 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So crazy. Okay. So some of the things that popped up to me, a lot of things pop up to me, but I'm going to pull it up here because I know I have it saved. So let's go through it. Okay, so the first thing that got me was this scene, because now what I heard about Deadpool 3 is that this is going to be like the worst Wolverine ever. And when I say the worst Wolverine ever, like this is going to be like we aren't supposed to expect this to be the Wolverine that we grew up with. That this is the worst possible Wolverine. That's why we get that scene where it says like, this Wolverine, like
he's like a nerf. He's a nerf Wolverine. He failed.
Exactly.
Like,
He's a loser. He's a loser. And so my guess is that his Earth got destroyed, and then the TVA put him onto this Earth because he can't die. That's probably my guess. Is that, and then and then we're gonna talk about, because Slav commented on it too. I thought about it last night as well, but we'll get into some more stuff. But this opening scene was freaking hilarious, bro. Like, if he thought Deadpool was a lady, that was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed at that. But yeah, so now let's go to the next thing here. Okay, now this is what I was talking about. Now, I don't think this is a real scene, because obviously Cassandra Nova has similar powers to Professor X. I thought that this scene was like a figment of his imagination, and my guess is that these were all of the tombstones of the X-Men that died on his world.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to guess what this is, because this could be so many different things. It does. It kind of reminds me of like a Holocaust museum memorial a little bit. I saw a lot of people obviously thought this was Genosha. It doesn't really look like Genosha, but it definitely looks like some kind of memorial to a mass death event.
Yeah. Well, like, don't you know in X-Men 97, they've been talking about the astral plane a lot?
Yeah, they have been.
What if this is like in the astral plane, and maybe like Cassandra takes him here in his own memory to make him feel bad? Like something like that. Hunger Mice, I heard Dead and Nerd say this, but I feel this is true. The Wolvie, although a variant, still went through similar events that the original Fox X-Men Hugh Jackman went through. Exactly. So Den of Nerds talked about Wolverine, bro, and Josh, aka Den of Nerds, he was saying that this Wolverine went through like similar events to what we've seen in the movies. It's just that he failed. So he was like, maybe this is the Wolverine where, like, in the freaking days of future past, like, instead of Wolverine trying to save the day, Wolverine went and like killed like someone, and then it just ruined everything. And so now, and that could be the reason why his world is like he's gone. So like, I think it would be awesome if like we went back in time and we saw like a scene from the old X-Men movie where Wolverine was supposed to step up, or like, what if Wolverine didn't kill Jean Grey at the end of Last Stand, and then his world got destroyed by the freaking Phoenix. I mean, there's a lot of like possible things that could made this Wolverine's world get his world get chalked up. Would you like that idea of like he did the opposite of what he did in the film, and then he had to pay the consequence for it?
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. For sure. I definitely. I think it's somewhere along the lines of him failing in something where we saw him succeed. And, X-Men 3, The Last Stand was a pretty big event in the Fox universe.
Yeah. And also, just want to talk about your whole cameo thing. Like, I think this is what you want when you hear a old hero is coming back. Like, you don't want no BS story where like a legacy character is just thrown in. You want a whole different plot. And I think that you appreciate the fact that Hugh Jackman kind of has a new character that he's kind of like building up to now, because this is a whole different version of a Wolverine. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, I think that it has to serve the story, and I don't like the idea of cameos to like achieve. I don't like I feel like the cameos in a lot of ways have been a cheap gimmick to sell tickets. And it seems that, we don't really know what's going to happen with this Wolverine. And now we're guessing based on the trailer, and it's something new and exciting where it's like, okay. And it's also not a cameo, the movie's called Deadpool and Wolverine. My big issue with the cameos also, like, I feel like a lot of the hype for Secret Wars right now, and granted, we're super far out from this movie hitting theaters, but every time people talk Secret Wars, it's based on who are we going to see in the movie? Who are we going to see in the movie? And to me, that's a big problem, especially considering like the Avengers time runs out, comic run that leads into Secret Wars is one of my like top 3 favorite comics ever. And when you're talking about the MCU leading into Secret Wars, if people aren't hyped watching those movies that aren't Secret Wars and they're only hyped for Secret Wars because of the cameos, that's a problem to me. So that's my big issue with the cameos. And I think that it's very Secret Wars related.
Yeah. So you like this? I like this.
I like this. I'm kind of getting excited to see Iron Man. I gotta say, like, if he's gonna be in the movie, how much I love Iron Man,
bro. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. I like that. The thing is, I can't imagine Iron Man coming into this movie and having a big part in the movie, though. That's the other thing.
Yeah, unless if he's back on the roster, which would be insanity. It would be insane. Yeah. All right, next slide. Let's go to the next slide. So, okay, now this is obviously the most important one. So let's come back. Let's talk about this last because you sent me this, so I'm gonna wait on this one. But okay. Let's talk about Cassandra Nova. How do you like? How did you like seeing Cassandra Nova in the trailer?
They didn't really. I feel like we didn't get much from her. Like we still really don't know much about the MCU Cassandra Nova. But I'm happy that she's here because I think that this is going to add to the mutant hype. And I feel like I'm starting to fall into the mutant hype, where like I think listen, if Cassandra Nova is in this and it's Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't know if this is going to be a mutant detour. I still don't think that we're going to watch this movie and everything's going to be all about the mutants. And I do think that the mutants are coming post Secret Wars, but I also think that this movie is going to change everything. I think this movie is going to change everything in a lot of ways. I think number one, this is going to satiate some of the demand for mutants right now, but I also think that this movie is going to bring us to where we need to be in terms of the multiverse and maybe incursions and driving the rest of the story towards Secret Wars. I think there's some other movies that are going to play a big part in that, but I hope that this movie brings hype to the MCU and everything else going on in the MCU. I'm really curious to what mutants what role the mutants will serve in advancing the overall story in the MCU leading into Secret Wars. That's my big question.
We might have been wrong about we might have been wrong about the X-Men coming after Secret Wars. And we're gonna get into that when we talk about the whole X-Men 97 stuff. Because I heard and I did a video on this yesterday, but we'll break it all down. But I heard a really crazy rumor. But I agree with everything you said, dude. I love Cassandra Nova. The scene where she's walking out with like Professor X's wheelchair behind her was really like, I was like, oh, so she's gonna be violent, bro. Like she's gonna be really violent. So and you and I both love when characters go savage, like when there's no limit to their violence. So I'm pretty excited to see. Like you can tell she's gonna be like unhinged, So
I mean, look at that. Look at that on the big photo of the three. Look at her face. I mean, she
looks insane.
Yeah, she just has a FU vibe to her.
Do you know who else was very like unhinged 2?
Who?
Hela. I loved Hela, bro. Hela was nut, bro. Hela was probably one of the best Marvel villains in like a one-off film because she just did. She killed like, when she took out that whole army, bro. I was like,
yeah.
And then she killed the freaking Warriors 5 or whatever. I was like, yo, right. I was like, that girl's a savage. And I think Cassandra's going to be even worse, bro. Because I think she's going to be worse. And when she moved Wolverine with like her hands, bro, I was like, what is going on here? So,
right.
But like the bald head does make it like this, like the photo to the left. Like, do you see her face, bro? She looks insane.
She does. She really does.
So and okay, so now let's talk about this scene. So there is something that a lot of people didn't talk about. When you see them jumping, remember when Cassandra Nova is just standing there?
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people think that she opened the portal. Now, I do think that they are going to go through a portal to end up somewhere, which is either two places, and we could talk about that after this. But do you think that this could have been just a random portal that they're going through during the fight? Like do you really think this is the portal that they'll go through to get to the MCU or wherever? Because this seems like they're like still in the final battle.
I don't know, because first of all, it kind of looks like that could be the beach in front of them. It looks like they're going towards the beach. Because if you look at the cloud, one of them looks like a cloud that comes from the sky, and the bottom looks like sand from the beach. And then if you look under the sand cloud, it looks like sand on the beach.
So could this be where the void is eating up everyone, and Cassandra's like, just get out of here, and then they just go to this random Earth? That could be something too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just too many variables to even predict on that one.
Yeah. Now,
because we have no idea what Cassandra wants from them. We don't know what the deal is with the beach scene and the Fox universe. I will say, though, I do think the scene on the beach with the Fox universe sign is going to be in the earlier part of the movie, because when Deadpool and Wolverine are fighting and, Deadpool is under them and starts shooting them from the side, that looks like when they're first meeting. It looks like they first meet and they're duking it out. So I do think that scene is going to be earlier in the movie.
I expect that. I thought that was in the void, because like where else would you find a 20th Century Fox sign?
Yeah. That's the only thing that makes me think that theory might be a little off, but that also makes me think that they're going to come back to that beach. Like I feel like that beach is going to be a big location in the movie, and it's going to be more than one.
Okay, now let's talk about where they'll end up. Because I have two things, bro. The first place they could obviously go is the 616 MCU, and I do think that it will be good for them to be in the 616 MCU, because I can see some situation where like they're kind of playing like what Hulk played in Avengers Infinity War, where they're like, yo, like the multiverse is collapsing, blah 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 blah. And also, I think adding Deadpool and Wolverine to the Avengers roster makes the power level go up a lot. I mean, like a lot.
Yeah.
And to be honest, bro, we need that power on this roster, because let's be real, our roster is kind of weak at the moment. Now,
I don't think both of them are going to end up on that roster. I think Deadpool will. I don't think Wolverine will.
Okay, so now the second place, and this is where I think you might lean more, because we saw that in the end of the Marvels that Monica Rambeau was with the X-Men. So one of the things that I think
I forgot about that.
Yes. And I think, and to be honest, I think it's a really good thing that she went there. By the way, Kelsey Grammer looked freaking amazing. But by the way, the Beast, that CGI was amazing. Shout out to Binary as well. Really great character. But and this is what the Nerds said as well. This is what a lot of the rumors were saying, is that either Deadpool and Wolverine or Wolverine alone is going to end up on this Earth. Okay, and basically what ends up happening
is the one where Monica Rambeau went to.
Yes. And basically what the rumor is saying is that they know all about Kang the Conqueror. They know all about the multiverse. They know all about the incursions, and basically like this is and basically like this Earth could possibly be the one that's colliding with our 616 because we saw that they were already colliding a little bit in the Marvels. And so and then basically they flip out because they see Doctor Strange because they see Doctor Strange and Wanda because of what happened in the multiverse of madness. Because the thought is that Reed Richards on 838 was communicating with the Reed on the Earth that Monica is on. And so basically like this Earth that the X-Men is on that Monica was at, they know what happened. And so when they see Doctor Strange and Wanda, they kind of flip out, and then we see like the X-Men and our Avengers roster kind of go at it for a little bit. So you know, those are some possible rumors that I've heard. I think all that will be freaking awesome, but you know, we just have to see what happens.
Listen. I just don't know. My problem with that theory is there's so many aspects to that theory where I have no idea where it came from. Like the Reed communicating with another Reed from another universe, the X-Men fighting the Avengers. I mean, listen, as great as it all sounds, it sounds like a lot of guessing based on zero intel.
Oh yeah. And that's why it's a rumor. That's why it's a rumor, right? Yeah. So this is what's kind of been going around is that like this movie is going to connect to the Monica Rambeau being with the X-Men and with our 616. I would like, as much as I would like, I wouldn't mind if Wolverine went to where Monica Rambeau was and Deadpool went with the Avengers. I think that would be a really good roster. Yeah, and I think they could do something like that.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's not the end of Deadpool and Wolverine because Deadpool or Wolverine, I should say, just because they have so much hype in this movie. Everyone loves these characters. You know, my cousin who doesn't watch, like any of the Marvel movies, she said to me that she's like, yeah, I've seen Deadpool 1 and 2. Like, she was talking about watching Dune, and she, just to give you context on how little movies she watches, she was like, yeah, I didn't want to watch the first one. I just wanted to watch the new one. Like,
it's just the hype. It's just the hype.
Yeah. She's seen Deadpool 1 and 2, so I was surprised. So I think this movie is going to be like, this is going to be so hype. I mean, it's going to absolutely crush it in the box office. And the only reason I don't think Wolverine is going to stay around is I really do think Hugh Jackman wants to call it a day. And I don't think Ryan Reynolds is where Hugh Jackman is, because you have to remember Hugh Jackman's done like 10 movies as Wolverine at this point. Ryan Reynolds, he's done maybe, I think, 3 or 4 or something like that, because he's played Deadpool in Wolverine movies, but like not to the extent that he does now. By the way, I also loved Ryan Reynolds' character in Blade Trinity. Like, I remember loving
thank God
that.
You didn't say Green Lantern.
Oh yeah, no.
I was about to say, dude, stop right there.
I feel like that movie, it kind of sucks that they messed it up, because Ryan Reynolds, when you think about him as Hal Jordan, like, that should have worked.
Oh, he was the perfect casting for Hal.
Yeah.
Perfect casting. So I don't think Hugh Jackman done, bro. He just got divorced. What else does the guy have to do? He don't got nothing else to do. And then on top of that, bro, money talks, man. If Marvel pays the dollar, he'll do it. And right. that's kind of how I see it. Because this dude, he's a newly divorced man. He looks amazing. They obviously added some VFX to his arm and stuff. I think that he's just like, if we want to do it, let's do it. But and I mean, I'm pretty sure he said in one of his interviews that like he wants to be with Tony Stark and Captain America and all them stuff. So I mean, let's say that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And then Robert Downey says that he would come back with no hesitation. So I mean, if this is true and RDJ and the band comes back, I think this gives Hugh Jackman maybe like a couple more movies of being Wolverine. I don't think his body definitely can't keep up because he's in his 60s. But I mean, if we get a couple more projects with them two interacting between the Secret Wars like era, I wouldn't be against it all. So, But yeah, this trailer overall was amazing. I got this movie doing over $1 billion. How about you?
$1 billion is a big number, but I do think it's gonna. I do think it's gonna get to the, like I think it's gonna get close. I think it's gonna cross at least 800.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's doing more than that because like this feels like the prime. Like this feels like 20. Like the kind of hype that's with it is like 2019 type hype, which is crazy because like. It's just funny how people hate on the other projects. Then when Deadpool comes out, it's like, oh yeah, like this is it. It's just funny how people judge the quality.
Listen, I like even Dune 2 just crossed like 790 mil the other day. $1 billion is just a lot. Like,
yeah, I think they're going.
I think it's going to get high. I think it's going to get high. I'm going to say I think it's going to do 800 mil. And but I listen, I can see it crossing $1 billion. I don't want to say that and be wrong. So I'll go.
I'm going $1 billion, the big bucks, baby. So okay. So Jerry said 800 mil. I'm saying $1 billion. We will see what happens. All right. Hopefully Jerry's wrong, and I think Jerry wants to be wrong.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. Jerry wants to be wrong.
Yeah. By the way, for all the people out there, superhero fatigue. Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah. It's never a thing. It was never a thing. It's just that the project sucked. That's all it was.
Yeah. And that's what everyone like. It's not even just us that says it. It's everyone in the fans that said that. Anyone with half a brain knows that, bro. Superhero fatigue, like in 2019, Avengers Endgame, I'm pretty sure it did $1 billion. So, it's not that long ago.
They went back to back, bro.
Yeah.
That has to be the greatest movie run of all time. There's no way. There's no way.
It has to be.
There's no way. Like no one's doing that ever again, bro.
No franchise has done back-to-back $1 billion movies.
On the same movie too.
Yeah.
Bro, I really don't think that'll ever happen again in history.
Yeah.
So we love it.
You know what? I think that if they put Rebel Moon into movie theaters, I think that would cross $1 billion.
$1 billion?
I'm totally messing with you.
I'm looking at you like you out of your darn mind.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, me neither.
Like I'm not wasting my time watching that crap.
Yeah,
I told you, bro. I watched the first one. I fell asleep like to 15 minutes in.
It's funny too because I waited for you to watch it to tell me you thought it was worth watching.
Yeah,
I
told you I was like, nah, this ain't it.
Yeah,
and we
I wanted that movie to be good. A movie that I get to watch for the first time at home on my setup, like that would have been awesome. And for someone who people talk about him as if he's Christopher Nolan, like his own franchise with carte blanche should be, like banger and a huge success, and it's just not.
Yeah, but like it's because
it's not a success in quality, like
because he's not like Snyder has ideas. He's not, and these movies show, bro. He's not like he's not a director.
Exactly.
That's not his bag.
Like he should be a cinematographer.
Yes. He's really good with shots.
Make things look good.
Yes,
like, I will give him that. Like like we're not unfair. The whatever they call them, chaos blades or the lightsabers look hella cool. Like I know people love to knock him for his use of slow motion, but slow motion does look cool in scenes like that where so much is just happening where you could appreciate it in greater detail. And
he's one of the best. He's one of the best editors in the game. I mean, that's he's probably one of the greatest movie editors of all time. But it takes a good director to control it. He doesn't know how to control himself.
Even even in like Batman versus Superman, the way people are gonna want to kill me for this, but the way the lights look, like it reminded me of Metal Gear Solid because in Metal Gear Solid. Maybe 4, but definitely 5. when there was like a light, you could see it, the beam glare and stuff, and it would create this vertical line, a horizontal line, and it would look so cool. He did that in BVS, and it looked sick. Like,
I agree.
You know, and I do think his Superman suit is fly as hell. Like, I'll give him that.
His cinematography is very similar to Matt Reeves. Like him and Matt Reeves sits like their cinematography is not that far. I just think that Matt Reeves has like more self control. Like I feel like Zack Snyder gets like too excited and like over. You know what I mean? He overdoes it. Okay.
By the way, I want to say one quick thing, and I love Matt Reeves' Ape trilogy, but I do think if Matt Reeves did that kind of trilogy with like a comic book movie, his name would be much bigger. But the Apes trilogy just doesn't get as much spotlight as Batman and Superman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope that after he's done the Batman, I hope that he wants to stick with James Gunn. I think that would be awesome. Or go to Star Wars and help Star Wars because they need all the help that they can get.
Yeah, I would actually, I think he would crush a James Bond movie.
I agree. Wow, he would crush a James Bond movie, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's not processing in my mind.
I know.
So, like in my head, bro, I just thought of the Batman, but James Bond. Wow, that'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah, bro.
Wow. Dang. Yeah.
By the way, come to think of it, I feel like Zack Snyder would be an epic cinematographer to work with Matt Reeves because Zack Snyder does the cinematography and all that with action scenes, and that's the one thing the Batman was missing. But Matt Reeves did nail the action in the Apes movies.
Yeah,
so.
And Zack Snyder also does do great action scenes too. He does. Okay. So, I think he would have made a good John Wick as well. All right, so now let's go to Tom Holland, okay? Because Tom Holland finally spoke up about Spider-Man 4. There's been a lot of rumors that it was in development, so we finally know that like those things were true. So let's talk about what Tom Holland said. I'm gonna pull this up for you guys. All right, he said this. I will always want to do Spider-Man films. I owe my life and career to Spider-Man. We have the best in the business working toward whatever the story might be. But until we've cracked it, we have a legacy to protect. This is the first time in this process that I've been a part of the creative so early. I'm watching and learning. It's just a really fun stage for me. Everyone wants it to happen, but we want to make sure we're not overdoing the same things. How do you feel about Tom Holland saying that about being Spider-Man?
I love it because first of all, like there's been so much back and forth from him on, whether he's going to do it or he's going to come back. I think it was all blowing smoke to get a bigger bag, and he's obviously signed that. It made news when he signed that contract, but I think that I think he cares more about the writing and direction in these movies. And I think that they need to, my big concern with Spider-Man, the more I think about Spider-Man in the MCU, and listen, we all love the MCU, but the harsh pill to swallow when it comes to the MCU and Spider-Man is that the way the MCU has become so successful and what it's become so successful making has created limitations on what they can do with Spider-Man because the MCU is very spectacle, larger than life, type of story. It's driven by those stories, and Spider-Man is a very it works, don't get me wrong, but a lot of fans, myself included, we want that classic New York street level comic in a movie, and that's just not what the MCU does. And the other thing is they need characters like Spider-Man to be a big driver of the main MCU story, and they can't really do that if they have Spider-Man fighting someone like Scorpion, Matt Gargan, as the villain. And not that that's who I want the street level villain to be anyway, but you get what I'm saying here.
I disagree. I think I would say that would be the case if it was like, before No Way Home, because obviously with Brendan, bro, you can't be commenting this, dude. My God, bro, you need out of pocket comments, bro. But I will say this though. I would have said that about Tom Holland back in the day, like before we got No Way Home.
No Way Home.
But with No Way Home, with this mini reset that we got with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, he is in this place to where he's tech down. He has no more tech. The Tony Stark tech is gone. Happy Hogan doesn't even know who he is, and he can kind of come back to that semi-grounded story where we can see him dealing with people like Kingpin and stuff like that. And I think that Daredevil is going to be the introduction into this grounded scenario. And I still think that you can do a grounded Spider-Man with maybe having end credits hinting to the greater MCU. And just because a story is grounded, I still think you can have superpowered beings and stuff like that without making it so alien-y. You know what I mean? And like you're good. And like, because to me, I think that Ant-Man was a very grounded story. Like Ant-Man 2. And there was a character like Ghost who had superpowers, but it didn't come off as like it was so out of this world, And even with Captain America: Brave New World, I think that's Spider-Man 4 is going to be coming from that same tone of where it's a grounded story, but we're also going to get characters like the Hulk, and we're also going to get a bunch of other like superpower beings. So I think that the key is not making it alien-y, because making it alien-y can be very weird. And that's why for me, bro, like No Way Home for me even felt grounded because the villains, I mean, like it's just Green Goblin, and the Lizard Man and all of those other people. Obviously, you have Doctor Strange and all of that. But I think that Spider-Man 4, you got to stay away from space. Like leave space alone and leave the multiverse. I mean, and you can have multiversal like elements, but you really want to leave those two alone and focus on just superpowered beings. And I think that can make it pretty like grounded.
This is one of the other reasons I think that they really need to have other stories taking place in the MCU that aren't necessarily driving the main story forward. Kind of like the comics. They have some stories that cross over into the larger crossover event, and then they have some that don't. I think we all want to see Spider-Man team up with Daredevil and Punisher, and obviously we know Daredevil and Punisher are coming back to the MCU, and this time to the MCU in a pretty big way, But another character I think that would really work for, having a Spider-Man movie kind of with spectacle that might have some, godlike elements is Moon Knight. Moon Knight is such a unique character in this sense because, in the comics, he fights a lot of street level crime, but his powers are larger than life, quite literally higher power. And I think that, you could add that element to a Spider-Man movie and get that spectacle while being street level at the same time. And this is another reason I think they really need to make Moon Knight a much bigger player in the MCU because, in the comics, I mean, he's taken on the Avengers. He is super powerful, and they don't have to make it dark and gritty like how he is in the comics, and they could do that quite successfully like they did on Disney Plus. But I do think that we need a Spider-Man 4, and I think we need it soon because I think fans, myself included, are getting tired of seeing movies like the Marvels and Thor 4 and, when we finally, or, the one time we get a movie that's based on, one of the top tier characters, it gets that top tier character, Doctor Strange, gets sidelined by America Chavez. So, we need Spider-Man 4 and we need it sooner than later. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And you were against it, but now you're starting to come around where it was good that John Watts like stepped off because like as much as Big Spider-Man was, he really coasted on those. Like he didn't go as hard as he could have. Because when I think of the old Spider-Man and the fact that I can't recall except the end of Spider-Man when we got a really long web sling, that's when I have an issue. Like there's no notable web sling that Spider-Man had except the end of No Way Home. And there are just certain things about Spider-Man that John Watts just didn't touch on, which is kind of weird.
We never ever saw MCU Spider-Man fighting while web slinging in with the NYC skyscrapers.
Yeah, only one scene.
And it's not even a fighting scene. It's It's the end of No Way Home, which is what I think you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's that major problem. And when you think about something like that, I'm sorry, but John Watts, you just don't deserve to touch Spider-Man again.
Exactly.
And also, like, this is going to sound crazy, but when you think of the Sam Raimi trilogy, like, all three of those movies were good. Two of them were bangers. And, when you think about the MCU trilogy, you could say the same technically, but Far From Home sticks out like a sore thumb. Spider-Man 3 doesn't stick out in the way Far From Home does. Like the Spider-Man 3 trilogy, I feel like stands much better than the MCU one. And if you were to compare Spider-Man 3 from Far From Home, you would call Spider-Man 3 a banger.
I have to sit on that for a couple of days, but I understand what you're saying. I have to rewatch both. It's really been a while since I watched Far From Home and Spider-Man 3, but I hear you there. Yeah, bro. I think that bro. And let Sam Raimi do it. That's how I don't care. Like, let Sam Raimi do it, bro. I don't care.
They really should. Should.
Because Sam Raimi's gonna land those beats of Peter Parker that we need, and like get the MCU writers in there, get the guys that wrote. Because I think Spider-Man's writing was good, and the only people that like the best fight choreography I saw from Spider-Man was with the freaking Russos. I think that the Russos landed his fight choreography. Like when I go to Infinity War and Tony Stark is fighting one of Thanos' kids, and Spider, like, do you remember that scene when the dude throws the car in the air and the Spider-Man grabs it with the web and does a backflip at the same time and the car hits him? Like the fight choreography was amazing. Like give us like we need more fight choreography. I need less script, less descriptive talking. I need more action. Like give us the Batman, but with more action Spider-Man, where like just how the Batman, we saw Batman in the suit the whole time, which was freaking awesome. We barely got any Bruce Wayne. The same thing they're doing with Blade now, and we're going to talk about that soon because Blade has finally turned to the right direction, which we'll talk about. But Blade is doing the same thing. It's simple. It's about him just vampire John Wick. And then we also are going, and then we need to do the same with Spider-Man. Let's just see Spider-Man solving crime. Let him get so obsessed with crime and solving it, and then bring in someone that just rocks his world. Like that's what we want to see.
Yeah, 100%. And like, the other thing is Sam Raimi made those movies so classic and iconic, and it just like the one scene I like really could think of from the MCU was when when he was under the rubble in Homecoming and he was like, playing back Tony's voice in his head, if you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't wear the suit. You're nothing without it. And he gets his way out. But other than that, and like if you look at the Sam Raimi trilogy, I mean, all three of those movies are filled with different cuts that are like absolutely iconic. And they just didn't do that in the MCU trilogy. And listen, I like the MCU trilogy. I don't mean to make it sound bad. Like I really enjoyed.
We love Tom Holland over here.
Yeah. But there were a lot of things that should have been done and weren't.
Yeah, and the Russos play a bigger part in Tom Holland's popularity as Spider-Man than John Watts. Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame is what made Spider-Man like the definitive MCU Spider-Man. It wasn't the solo films.
And by the way, that scene of Tom Holland jumping out of the bus on the bridge, like that's more iconic Spider-Man to me than anything we saw in the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, or even in Civil War when he grabs Cap's shield. Oh my God,
yeah,
that might be probably one of the greatest scenes of all time. Well, probably it gotta be.
So fire.
Yeah. Hey everyone, Captain Big fan.
right.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about Blade. Okay, oh crap, I just had up. 1 second. So in regards to Blade, we have some good news about this. It says this: Blade will reportedly start filming this summer in Mexico. The film is said to be stripped down to Mahershala Ali killing vampires. This was from MSN.com. Shout out to MSN for for doing movie news. I'm shocked that they going there.
Yeah.
But we're really excited about this because you and I have talked about this before. Blade went through a whole thing. Even though Mahershala Ali can be annoying at times, shout out to him for stepping up and saying, "Yo, I'm not doing this film. This is stupid." Because they were trying to make him the side character and focus on his daughter or his mom or something. And Mahershala was like, "Yo, no, we gotta make this about me, about my."
And character. By the way, we need like the headlining stars to put their foot down on that, and I feel like a lot of them are probably kind of afraid to do so because of the socio-political climate. But if you don't, and if you're an actor and you're watching this, if you don't do that, you're gonna get sidelined in your own movie, and the fame that you're trying to score in your own movies will be mitigated.
Exactly. Because to prove that, look at what Anthony Mackie said. All right, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. He said this is an reintroduction into the character. There's a reason because of that. Because he didn't like the representation he had. And with Mahershala, he said, "Bro, I'm the star of this movie." Like, no. And so now, and I love the fact that Marvel Studios is going simple. That's kind of what it's seeming like. Being stripped down to just Mahershala Ali killing vampires. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see some deep vampire lore about how it's connected to the Eternals. We don't care. We just want to see Blade killing vampires and you link it to something else. That's all you got to do. And if you want to put Moon Knight in there, if you want to put freaking Dane Whitman, Black Knight, you do it. But make the movie simple. And so I am very happy that they simplified the movie, and it's just Vampire John Wick.
What are they going to Mexico for?
Apparently they're filming out there.
That's weird. Listen,
my guess is they're going to be going like the deserty route. That would be my guess. So
I think that they could absolutely get some cool scenes in Mexico. By the way, it would be pretty effing awesome if they made somehow they had him fighting the cartel.
Vampire cartel. Oh
yeah, bro.
Oh.
But let's put some respect on New York City and make sure he goes to New York City, because we have the news making New York City look terrible every day. Marvel, do us a solid, please.
Yeah, bro, he would definitely end up there. But I would love the Mexican abandoned town type of vibe. That would be kind of awesome.
Yeah, awesome. That would be sick.
But the vampire cartel, and then he follows the cartel back to New York City, and then what if freaking Kingpin just pops up? That'd be nuts.
Right. Or someone like St. Patrick,
bro.
Power. That'd be sick.
Yeah, that'd be funny. That'd be funny. But yeah, bro. So we are really excited for Blade. Mahershala Ali looks the part perfectly. So I mean, you gotta look. He's a great actor. He just gotta, now Mahershala, you got what you wanted. Now you gotta freaking perform now. So I'm hyped. Shout out to Kevin Feige as well for making those changes, listening to the fans and stripping it down. So we're really happy about that. Okay. Now let's get to the next topic, right? So Kevin Feige wants the X-Men of 97 to be in the MCU. So Emi Yanamura, okay, this is what she said. Now, the name, now obviously we use these titles to draw in people, so let me give context, all right? Kevin Feige has considered making X-Men 97 to be a part of the MCU Sacred Timeline. It says this has always been something we know was on Kevin Feige's mind. Do we make this part of the MCU? Do we not make this part of the MCU? It's actually going back and forth quite a few times, says director Emi Yanamura. So my guess of why Feige will want this. Now, we all got to talk about Kevin Feige, right? Kevin Feige has a special connection to the X-Men. If you guys don't know, Kevin Feige is one of the guys that worked on the X-Men movies back in the day. Like, he was one of those guys. And so I think that and we all know that Kevin Feige is famous for not doing origin movies for characters that already have them, right? So with the Fantastic Four, we're obviously most likely not going to get an origin story. Spider-Man didn't get an origin story. Even Black Panther, he didn't even have an origin story. So he's famous for doing that. And my guess would be is that he would make it sacred to make this as a part of the background for the X-Men. But my guess is that this isn't going to be a part of the main MCU timeline at all, because Deadpool and Wolverine pretty much just confirmed that whatever they got going on is going to be a part of the sacred MCU timeline. But I will understand why Kevin Feige would. Like, I understand why. But for me personally, and I said this in the video, I want the X-Men to be young. I think that they should start in high school. I think that, instead of and this is where I think Marvel went wrong with America, with don't name America what?
Chavez.
Yes. America Chavez was a young character, but she wasn't the right character. Same with Ironheart. And even same with some of these other younger male, even with Isaiah Bradley too. Like these aren't characters that people are going to grow up with. I think a teenage Cyclops, a teenage Jean Grey, and when I say teenage, I'm saying like kind of like a Tom Holland's age. I think if you start with them that young and you grow them up for the next 10 to like 20 years, I think the fans will really appreciate that. And that's where I think Kevin Feige should go when it comes to the X-Men and the MCU. Like, we need characters that we're going to get 20 years out of, And that's where I think he should do in regards to putting the X-Men in the MCU.
I will say the only outliers to that, I think, could be Magneto and Xavier. We got to keep it open for both Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy to come back, because both of them are phenomenal. I mean, especially Michael Fassbender. I mean, I don't want to throw shade on James McAvoy because he was incredible as Professor X, but I'm a little biased because Magneto's like my favorite villain ever, and I just think Fassbender as Magneto is incredible. And I don't know if they're going to be able to find anyone for either of those roles that are better than they are.
I think Cavill will be a great Magneto.
Actually, I agree with that.
I think, I don't know who they would cast for X. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm sure. Listen, like I always say, there are actors out there, and we don't know who they are, and casting directors find them. So I just listen. We didn't. I didn't know who. Why am I blanking out? David Corenswet was until they started talking about him from Superman, and then I realized I saw him in another show, which I will not name. But I didn't know his name from that show, because it was so bad that I turned it off. Not that he was bad in it, but they laundered in a certain kind of entertainment that I wasn't watching the show for.
I do know who I want as a Wolverine, though, in the MCU once Hugh Jackman's done. Theo James.
Why do I know that name?
I want him to be Wolverine.
What has he been in?
He was in Divergent.
I haven't seen that.
He was in a show on Netflix recently called The Gentleman.
The Gentleman.
Really good film. Really great show.
That show's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I want him to be Wolverine. I think he voices Wolverine too in that. But that's my fan casting for Wolverine.
Okay.
But anyways, I agree with everything you said, man. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with the X-Men, but I really am for this idea of casting young. Like, do what you did with Tom Holland and Zendaya. Like that 23 to 25 age is perfect when you're trying to cast characters young. And
Totally.
you know, exactly. And with X-Men 97, I would model the same Magneto. Like, get a Henry Cavill, get somebody that you know is going to last a long time. And you just let them rock out, you know.
Yeah. And someone that
Yeah.
you know is dedicated. Like the other thing is you need to cast people who, number one, are talented, number two, are dedicated. Like there are a lot of actors out there, number one, that are fans of the superhero genre. There are a lot of actors out there that read comics. But if they're not, like, that's okay too. But they need to be willing to do the research on the source material. Like, you know, we're obviously big on X-Men and we're big X-Men fans. And, you know, like, I asked ChatGPT for the list of the Chris Claremont reading order for, like, his greatest hits. And I copied and pasted it and I sent it to Stevie and he started reading it, like, right away. You know, everyone has the ability to read these comics or James Bond books or whatever the case may be on their laptop, iPad, iPhone, whatever. If you're gonna if you are gonna get cast as Cyclops, you don't have an excuse for not reading the source material. And if you think that you could do it without reading the source material, they shouldn't hire you. Period.
Yep. Yeah, I honestly, and I just looked online for the top 10 people who could be Professor X. I would bring James McAvoy back. I just looked at the list. There's no way you would bring in any other guy.
Right. Yeah. And James McAvoy is incredible.
Because all they have on the list is great actors, not actors that fit the character. And I think it's because there's just certain guys that just fit to play Professor X. I think that McAvoy is the guy you do for that.
You know what's so crazy about the Fox X-Men movies is that they made like 3 X-Men movies, a few Wolverine, and then all of a sudden they were like, we're going to do prequels, like a soft reboot with prequels. And then they put the prequels out, and the prequels were so good that people liked the prequels more than they liked the original. And all the originals were well received. When they came out, people went crazy over those. I remember I went to the movies for every single one of them. Yeah. So, you know, and I think a lot of that has to do with casting the right people.
Bro, Days of Future Past was fire.
Bro, so good. Like, so good. A lot of people say that's the best comic book movie ever.
Yeah, it might be. It might be.
It's not my favorite, but it's definitely
top 5. Or I'm sorry, when I'm gonna say top 5, it's definitely top 10. It's top 10.
It's definitely top 10.
Top 10 for sure.
It's in that conversation for sure.
I think that's the best X-Men film out of all of them because it combines the prequels and the.
You know, I just have a soft spot for First Class, but Days of Future Past probably is the best one. But First Class is probably my favorite.
Yeah, and then we got Dark Phoenix, which we're not even gonna talk about.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I remember that was when I first started my YouTube, and I freaking put a thumbs down thumbnail. I was like, this movie sucks.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's so funny.
I was freaking cussing on it, and like at the time my mom was watching, she was like, "Why are you dropping all these f-bombs?" Like,
yeah,
that was back when I was like young and on fire and just angry all the time.
Right.
Anyways, and mind you, they dropped that movie coming off of Avengers, bro. What a L! What a L! Like for real. Rookie mistakes, man. Okay. So there was some rumors that came out today saying that the future for She-Hulk is uncertain, and I'm pretty sure the actress might have spoke about it. I'm pretty sure. And the quote was made saying that like they asked her, "Has she heard anything from Marvel?" And she said, "No, she has not heard anything." How do you feel about Marvel? How do you feel about it seeming that Feige's kind of stepping back from involving her in things?
Good. I mean, she is quite literally the star of the biggest L in the MCU. And the MCU's had a lot of L's lately.
I agree. I think that this is a really good decision. I do feel bad for her personally because she was sold on a vision that was not it at all, you know, and like I think this is really going to damage her career, just being honest. So I do feel bad for her, but if we're talking about She-Hulk in general, like this is a great decision. The She-Hulk show should have never happened from the start. I think She-Hulk is not a bad character in the comic books, but this is a character that you involve with main characters. You know, like nobody would have minded if she was in Brave New World being a bad guy or good guy or something like that. Like people,
but as long as they didn't sideline Sam Wilson for her.
Oh yeah, no,
like that's the other thing.
I'm saying like like if kind of like kind of like how in Civil War, right? How they had their little Avengers roster, but Vision and Wanda played like side roles. I wouldn't mind She-Hulk being on a Avengers roster, bro, because we need the muscle. You just don't center the movie around her. You don't center any project around her. The same way, you know. I mean, it's kind of that simple, bro.
I think I'm kind of surprised she didn't have the foresight to see this show as a train wreck, and I don't know. I guess they were gonna find someone, and maybe there was someone else that was like smart enough to turn it down. But you know, if she's like a fan of Marvel and knows what the MCU is and thought that this show and read that script and thought this was a good idea, like I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this had to do with the one girl that got fired, Victoria Alonso, and she's obviously going. Feige got done with her
because she was fired for.
Well, we don't know why, but she was leading these shows.
Okay. Oh, the showrunner. I thought you meant an actor.
No. So she was the one that was leading a lot of these shows. And when she got fired, a lot of things started to change, and a lot of people is kind of speculating that like she was the one that her and Feige were kind of going at it. And
right.
But yeah, man, I mean, like if I am the boss, I'm telling She-Hulk or the girl that's playing it, I'm like, yo, I need you to be like Rhodey. Like that's the kind of role you need to be. Rhodey always played the side character, right? Rhodey really never took the shine that much, but Don Cheadle knows his role, and he plays the background character well. And I think that when you're bringing in side characters like a Kate from Hawkeye, and I think that Kate also does that well. Like Haley Steinfeld plays like don't you know how you can tell that Haley Steinfeld knows her role?
Yeah,
and she plays a side character very well, and she didn't take the shine away from Hawkeye at all. Like by
the way, like she's a star, and I'm sorry, but this Shield. By the way, I just looked her up, and the very first. I mean, there's a lot of articles that have this She-Hulk star. Tatiana Maslany, sorry if I mispronounced her name, was so heated up when she called Disney CEO Bob Iger out of touch during the strike. And
she's done.
Quote, it's hard to articulate yourself on the picket line. And it's like...
She's done.
Yeah. I listen, I don't want to throw shade on anyone for the strike and everything. Like, that's a whole other thing. But if you work for a company and you are going to blast the CEO of that company to the news, like there's a reason people don't, voice how they feel about things going on in their company to people in their company, let alone the media.
The world. Like, mind you, the biggest company in the world, by the way.
Yeah. And I know like that it might be feeding into he's so powerful. Like, if you were a celebrity, would you go to and you work for a famous company, would you tell CNN that you don't like your boss or like?
Yeah. Would you tell your boss now? Would you tell your boss now, the person that's signing your paychecks? Would you go to them and say you're out of touch that this company sucks? No, you wouldn't. You know. And so, but yeah, man. So I mean, shout out to Victoria Alonso. Like, I hope that her career gets a resurgence somewhere. But and
are you talking about Victoria or Tatiana or both?
Sorry, Tatiana. My bad, Tatiana. My gosh, shout out to Tatiana. Like, I think that, and I think she's kind of funny. Like, I think comedy. Like, I can see her in like an Adam Sandler movie, or something funny like that. You know, like she has that oomph to her where like she could do a funny rom-com, but and Marvel, like that's just not her deal, you know. And so take your exit and thank you for your service.
Yeah,
So
and no shade to her.
yeah.
Listen,
We hope she becomes like successful. Like I
yeah.
feel bad that she bought into this lie, you know, and that her career is going to take a freaking hit because of it, you know. So
I also think that there is a lot of like people that can't see, something for what it is because of their alignment and where they might stand in the current socio-political climate. Like I could see a lot of people. Listen, I got in like a Instagram beef with another creator who was like, I swear to God, that he made like at least 5 or like 7 posts about how I'm calling it now. She-Hulk is the future of the MCU and comic book movies. Like, this is going to lead the way, and She-Hulk is going to be the star on the Avengers. I swear to God, this kid was, and he's not even a kid, he's actually like 40 years old. Anyway, he really thought, and I was just like, you are so lost. And there are people that they let their vision of reality get so blurred by being so jumped up on their sociopolitics. And it's like, some people couldn't see that this show was a train wreck because they were like, nah, this is a
I mean, bro, they tried to do what these rappers do with TikTok. They were going for TikTok clips. That's why they had her twerking with Megan the freaking Stallion because they thought let's cater to culture and they will pay us back. But they forgot that Marvel was so big because it wasn't modeling what culture was. Marvel the Marvel was so big, bro, because Marvel takes you to a whole different world where none of this stuff exists and it's just heroes and villains. But when you try to copy the culture into your movies when it's not supposed to be that, it doesn't work. Because think about this, Barbie does $1 billion because Barbie was created to copy culture. That's why Barbie does $1 billion. Oppenheimer does $1 billion. Why? Because Oppenheimer doesn't go by what our culture talks about. It's in its own time. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of freaking Narnia. The list goes on and on. All of these when it comes to a fantasy films, Wheel of Time on Amazon. They're not made to copy the world.
Marvel is a trendsetter, not a trend chaser.
Yes. My I don't have a mic, but drop your phone real quick.
Yeah.
Just drop your phone. I'm kidding.
On the metal desk.
Oh my God. Yeah. All right. So now we were going to debate this. Now this isn't necessarily a debate, but I just want to give a point to you, okay, about Doctor Strange, because we were texting about this, and I was like, you know what? Let's save this time for the bot. I was upset. I ain't gonna lie. You know me. I was like, Jerry, man. Every time he talks about Doctor Strange, I get emotional, bro. I was so mad. So I do agree with everything you say. I just disagree where the movie's bad. And I did disagree with that point you made about it not being multiversal because it was. The part that I do think that Doctor Strange does, because I do think Doctor Strange is a good movie. A lot of people do. I think Doctor Strange laid a lot of groundwork for what we're going to see in the multiverse. No, it was not perfect, bro. It was not perfect by any means. But I do think that Doctor Strange gave us a blueprint to the multiverse and seeing the greater possibilities of it. And I think that's why I hold it to such a high standard, because I really enjoyed it felt like to me like Doctor Strange is giving us a glimpse of what we're going to see to come in the future, minus the America Chavez stuff, and it got me pretty, and like it gets me pretty excited when I see it from that perspective.
So the problem I have with Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, is with specifically about the multiverse of couple things. Number one, I don't think the movie was good. I think the third act was so bad, and I think the third act ruined the movie. And I think a lot of that has to do with America Chavez and sidelining Doctor Strange and building up the movie with Strange and Wanda, and never having them face off in the end was crazy. But the other thing that you have to think about is, like, if you didn't read comics and you just watched Marvel movies, you wouldn't know right now what makes the multiverse special or interesting. You literally wouldn't know. And the thing about this story leading into this version of Secret Wars in the comics is that they have to wrestle with the idea of killing another planet. And, you know, similar to Civil War, some of the characters are like, we have to blow up the other planet before we collide with it, because if we don't, we're all going to die anyway. So it might as well some of us live, or, you know, we're going to die. And a lot of the characters had different feelings on that, and they thought about it. And it went on for a huge comic run. And there are, you know, consequences to these things. And I just don't think that, like, they made the multiverse really interesting in that movie. And I kind of think, and the other thing is, like, different versions of characters create different results and outcomes and different events. And they kind of touched on it with Doctor Strange and Thanos, but they did that for like a blip of a second. And that was like the coolest scene in the movie to me. So, you know, I think they could have done more with the multiverse. That's why I call it multiverse, not so much madness. And it's the only movie that they kind of had the opportunity to do that with, you know. The other multiverse movie was obviously No Way Home. And I don't really think that one, you know, did such a great job in the multiverse in terms of advancing the story of the MCU. But they used the multiverse for the villains and bringing in the other Spider-Man. And the multiverse was more of a tool to bring back Toby and Andrew. And it really wasn't it wasn't a feature of the story.
Yeah, so I partly agree and I partly disagree, because, as I said, you and I, this is a agree to disagree thing, because I just think that, like, the multiversal parts of it is what's the most positive. And I would say that other than Doctor Strange, I would say Loki is the show that shows us how special the multiverse actually is. And that's what's kind of, I think a lot of fans are grounded. Yeah, I think that, like, Loki grounded, and I do think the reason why they went to so multiversal with Loki was because of the failure of the idea that they tried to push with Doctor Strange. Like, I don't think the idea was 100% pushed the right way, you know. But, like, when I look at like I view Multiverse of Madness as like Avengers: Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron is probably the weakest Avengers film that we have. But I would argue that Age of Ultron does the most world building for the characters in almost all of the MCU films leading up to Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, other than Civil War. You know, and that's kind of where I see Multiverse of Madness doing for Doctor Strange. And I think that, and depending on what they do with Doctor Strange 3 and what they do in the Avengers, I think that they can redeem Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness to an extent, to where people will understand the payoff of the multiversal scenes with Wanda and Doctor Strange. Like I think that, like, regardless of the trash stuff that they did with America Chavez, you can take the good parts, which is Wanda killing, like, the whole Illuminati and just wiping them out like freaking flies, and even them building Doctor Strange up to be like the bad guy, like Doctor Strange are evil. Like, there's issues with you. I think they can take those two ideas and you can put that in Doctor Strange 3. You can also put that into Secret Wars, and maybe you start that war with the incursions, you know, with the two Earths colliding. Like, I think that if done right, you can redeem both of those qualities. And bro, I think that for me, and you know me, bro, I'm a big hope-filled type of person. Like, so, like, I think that, like, if done right, you can redeem that movie by doing that. But it's all up to the studio's hands to do that right. And I feel like with Deadpool Deadpool gives me it's showing me like, okay, like this could be the start of that redemption.
You know, I also think that that's the other thing. Like they should have spent more time with the Illuminati. They didn't. If anything, that movie should have been like an Illuminati multiversal movie, and it just wasn't. And like when I never, the only time I ever rewatched it was to see was it really as bad as I thought it was, or and I watched it again, and like I wouldn't watch it. Like I go back to watch movies because I enjoyed them, and I would never ever turn that movie on again. I just wouldn't. I didn't like it like that. Like I didn't enjoy the movie, and I don't think it served its purpose that it needed to serve. Like I think that there is a lot more that Marvel needs to do in an effort to sell the concept of the multiverse in the MCU. They just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, as I said, I think that Loki sold it though.
I think Loki made a big step forward, but I think there's a lot more that needs to be done because they need to talk about incursions and like, dude, when you think about that scene of Reed breaking down the incursions for the Illuminati, like we haven't had anything like that.
Yeah. Well, because we don't have Reed yet, and I think that movies like Deadpool 3 and the Fantastic Four, those movies are going to be the benefactors of how that gets explained. So I hope that we get something.
Me too. They need to be. They need to be. And that's why I say so much of the MCU is riding on the Fantastic Four. But Deadpool and Wolverine, I would say right now the MCU is riding on Deadpool and Wolverine and the Fantastic Four, and that has to be like objective number one with the multiverse.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys, this is where we're gonna end the episode here. Just want to say, man, what a great week of comic books. This brings back a lot of like the old feeling that we experienced back in the 2016s, 2017s, the 2018s of just people like no toxicity, bro. People are just excited for content. So I'm really happy about that. And a lot of people say that Marvel's dead, man. Check those numbers, bro. It's not. The content's just been bad, So
right.
I'm happy about that. And the funny thing is that when James Gunn comes out with Superman, I think that a lot of people are gonna be hype about that too, man. There's obviously going to be a lot of haters because we know how DC is, but I hope that with projects like Deadpool and Superman that's coming out and all these other projects, man, I think we're about to go on a really great run on both Marvel and DC. So I'm pretty excited.
Me too.
So, all right, guys, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Clips are coming up every day about the stuff that we're talking about. Look, guys, X-Men 97. There was a clip that was just played that came out of Rogue like flipping out on the U.S. Army. So like,
oh man, that sounds fire.
I can turn on now if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
We got time. Let me pull it up. Facts, bro. We're a little early today. It's 9:50.
Yeah. I was just thinking that.
Perfect. Let me launch this right. And I think she was trying to find Trask or someone like that. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's a fire story.
X-Men 97 clip. Okay, it's 59 seconds. Hold on. Let me download it. By the way, shout out to YouTube. This option to download videos is like the clutchest thing ever, bro. It makes it so much easier. All right. Hold on. I'm saying present. Share screen. Can you read that comment, bro? Who commented on the stream?
Hold on. I gotta like make my. I can't see it.
Oh, bad. Wait, I got it.
This is a great
Chigs.
episode.
Hey, Chigs. Yo, shout out to you, bro. You be on Twitter going hard, bro. We be seeing you, dog. Keep it up, bro. For real. 1 second. Yeah. Tell me if you hear this. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
This is a top secret United States facility. You are trespassing.
fire.
Bro, that's hard.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder what
whoa.
that is, though. Yeah.
Who is she going? It has to be someone who's behind what happened on Genosha. And she just loses her cool and just freaking flips out.
Yeah. If it's tracks, it has to do with taking down the Sentinels, which, it's definitely a big objective of theirs. It has to be.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we're really excited. If it's too fire, we're going to record on Thursday. That's our rule. If X-Men's fire, then we'll do a Thursday recording, or maybe even a Wednesday, just depending on when we get to it, and we'll get some up. So have a great night, guys. Watch X-Men tomorrow. Stay crispy. Peace out.
To X-Men.